Hello beautiful humans and welcome back to Sparks the Conversation. I hope you're all well, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're listening, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. I hope you're doing good, because the world's pretty crazy out there right now, I'm not going to lie. Lots of stuff's happening, and it feels like a bit of a strange time, so sometimes it feels a bit kind of silly to just talk about fitness all the time, but of course there's more to life, but you've got to keep moving and you've got to keep focusing on what you enjoy and what you do, so otherwise you get bogged down by everything that's going on around you, and there's just a lot of negative stuff about, isn't there? A lot of negative stuff, so you've got to try and stay positive and stay happy, something that I struggle with. However, clear my throat, nonetheless, the episode today focuses on caffeine and why you might want to think about quitting it if you have anxiety, okay? So, a little bit of background. So, I've kind of struggled with anxiety my whole life. Probably when I was younger, I just thought it was me being kind of erratic or a little bit ADHD. But as I've gotten older, you get a little bit wiser, well I'd hope to. And I kind of understood and started to kind of understand it as anxiety, okay? And from all of the research, there is quite a big link between caffeine and increased anxiety, okay? We're not saying that kind of anxiety is caused by caffeine, no. But for those people who do feel a little bit anxious, do get kind of nervous in whatever situation that's specific to them, being supercharged on caffeine probably isn't the best approach. If you think about what it does, it dampens adenosine, it increases adrenaline. Probably someone who's anxious, let's talk me for example, like in a social situation, I get anxious, okay? So my adrenaline is probably through the roof anyway. So let's have a think. Do I need like a coffee? Do I need 300 milligrams of caffeine from a pre-workout? Probably not. And what I've found is, this is kind of jumping straight to the gun, as I always do, that since kind of quitting caffeine, so let's rewind a little bit, okay? So after prep, I decided, well not after prep, actually quite a while after prep, prep made me quite dependent on caffeine. I had no energy, so caffeine was my life, okay? Caffeine was my calories, except it doesn't have any calories, which is good. And I was very reliant on it. Lots of cardio, lots of steps, lots of training, lots of work to do. So caffeine became kind of a staple in my day. It kept me going throughout points of the day, and it incrementally rose across prep. In a dream situation, I would have cut caffeine out after prep, but due to life situations, I didn't feel great after prep, like most people do. So I didn't actually get around to weaning myself off of caffeine for maybe 2, 3, 4 months post-show. And this is not good, okay? Because my caffeine consumption was still high. Sleep necessarily wasn't great. But again, it's hard to separate kind of life stress from the implications of caffeine consumption, but nonetheless, they work in your life. They're having an impact on your life. So caffeine was higher than I liked. Finally got myself in a good headspace and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to set myself this target. I'm just going to go cold turkey. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think, there or thereabouts, I did do a YouTube video on it, so you can catch that up there. Well, that's if you're on YouTube. I did decide to go cold turkey, and I've done this before, okay? Never with the level of kind of the level of need that I had for caffeine at this point, but nonetheless I went cold turkey. So if you've watched the YouTube video, I did get quite bad headaches, quite bad withdrawals. My dreams for that first week, honestly, it was like I'd done that DMT, whatever it's called, that kind of Joe Rogan goes on about. I was on a different planet during these sleeps. Not necessarily the nicest dreams, I'm not gonna lie. Didn't feel great in them. They were quite dark. Let's just say they were quite dark, these dreams. I won't go into detail because no one wants to know that. Everyone just thinks I'm absolutely mental now. So I went cold turkey. First week was tough. Second week was also pretty tough. Like, energy was super low. I was struggling at key points in the day where I know I get tired. So around 2 o'clock normally, I would be absolutely flagging. Considering like my last coffee would be at 12, because I would always cut it off before 12, but what that normally meant is I'd have loads of caffeine before 12, be super buzzed, and then just literally crash off the edge of a cliff come 3, 4, 4 o'clock. So I got through the kind of first 2 weeks and I started to feel really good again, okay? And now 4, 5 weeks later, I can honestly say that my energy and mood as a result of it is significantly better. And again, I I don't know necessarily why. It's improved my mood, but my energy now is very consistent. I almost feel like my kind of high levels of anxiety and stress are now an actual attribute, as opposed to something that would kind of hinder me. Because, for example, I'm having to train around 6 o'clock now in the evenings, when normally I'd train at 9 in the morning on loads of caffeine. And if you'd asked me 6-7 weeks ago, right, you've got to train at 6 p.m. with no caffeine after a long day, I would have literally said I'm not doing it. I would just flat out refuse. But now, since not having these peaks and troughs from caffeine consumption, honestly, my performance is unreal. My energy throughout the day is unreal. I'm so erratic all the time, and not just in the morning. And in terms of my anxiety, it hasn't cured my anxiety, but anyone who has anxiety knows that feeling where your kind of heart rate goes up, you feel a little bit clammy, your eyes are jittering around a bit. That was the exact same feeling I'd get from caffeine. And I don't know why, but I always found myself going back to it. And always found myself like, right, coffee helps me. It helps me stay focused. And I don't think it actually does. Like, thinking about it now, like, which version of me is more able to concentrate? This version right now. Which version of me performs better relative to where they are in the training cycle? This me now. And I think it'd be something that anyone who's like does kind of potentially struggle with anxiety, or just wants to do a little bit of an experiment, might benefit with, because there's tons of benefits to not having it, okay? And yes, there is performance enhancing benefits, of course, to taking caffeine pre-workout, but from all the literature, the amount you need is actually quite a lot, significantly higher than what you would think. And I wouldn't recommend most people take that. Just because you're going to kind of blow your head off, and no one really wants that. Like, you don't want to be absolutely, like what some people do, you don't want to be absolutely fizzing around the gym, like your head's just full of popping candy. You want to be able to concentrate, you want to be able to get your head into what you're doing, and I would recommend it to anyone. I think it's significantly improved my training, my sleep, my recovery, especially if you're going through like a stress phase. And what I found was, when I was super stressed, my caffeine consumption would go up. Like I said, like post-prep, my life was quite stressful, so my caffeine consumption went right up, because I thought, right, I need this stimulant to help me. Probably what I should have done is removed it or brought it down, because caffeine's only going to increase the systemic fatigue your body feels. Whether that's directly through you just being jittery, moving more, erratic, might impact your concentration, but definitely through its impact on your nervous system. You're always going to be excreting adrenaline, which is never good. You're not going to be able to sleep as well. And I know people say like, oh, I take a pre-workout at 6 p.m, mate, I can sleep fine. You don't. Like, you literally don't. So stop fooling yourself. Caffeine will be in your system for 6 hours. So if you're taking it at 7 p.m, it doesn't affect my sleep. Yeah, it does. It literally does. And there's nothing you can do about that. Unless you found this kind of magic pill that extracts caffeine out your system, well done. But you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast, and you'd probably be a billionaire, because that would be a sick supplement. Right, I'm going to patent that. But nonetheless, I think it has helped my mood. Again, you don't know whether that's just because I've moved through a stage of my life where I had low mood and I had high anxiety, but we'll see, okay? Like, I'm in quite a busy period now. Like, I'm managing a gym at the moment. I'm running a full-time online business, which I'm doing on the weekends, like I'm doing now. This is a Saturday, and I'll be doing lots of check-ins today and tomorrow. Life's pretty stressful, but nonetheless, I'm here. I'm okay, and I feel significantly better than if I was off my face on caffeine. And again, take it with a pinch of salt. We're not it's not MDMA season. It is caffeine, okay? It's just a cup of coffee. But for anyone, basically, I just made this video for anyone who thinks that it might actually benefit them. And I think it is a good test for you, okay? Because I don't like being reliant on anything. And you shouldn't be reliant on caffeine for your source of energy, okay? Like, we're humans. We should be able to create our own energy. And likewise, if you're tired, you're tired. That's absolutely okay. Like, if you've had a really busy period and you've had poor sleep, you're going to be tired. Like, accept that. You don't need to just absolutely blitz yourself with caffeine to overcome it. Because like I said, slippery slope, you end up being kind of addicted to it, and then you feel absolutely ruined when you have to come off it for 2 weeks. So, I would recommend it. It's helped my anxiety. There is a little bit of research on it. Go and look it up. I'm not going to recite it here because, like I've said before, there's much more intelligent people than me in the world. I am just a meathead who has sometimes, not all the time because I do swear a lot, has a decent vocabulary. But I don't use kind of all of the words that all of these modern day bodybuilders use, like implement, pointless word. You don't implement a bagel, do you? You eat a bagel and then you digest it. And there's loads of other ones that I could bring out the back, but I just want to stay a little bit above the board today. But nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. I'm trying to keep them to 10-minute episodes because they are getting my ratings up and they are doing much better than the long ones because people think I'm boring as fuck. Other than that, I hope you are well. We'll be back with more kind of fitness-based content. I know this is a little bit more lifestyle, but nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you benefited from it, and I hope some of you will quit caffeine as a result of it. Especially if any of yous, where am I from? Any of you do struggle from anxiety or kind of erratic moods. I think it would benefit you massively. But nonetheless, if you are new around here, give me a like, a follow, a subscribe, a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you are feeling very generous. It would really help me grow. But then nonetheless, I will see you in the next episode. I hope you have a great day, hope you have a great life, and I'll speak to you soon.